So we go back to this music to try and get to this mother of his. Now he is playing for some time, and I am asking him, get near that chord. Get near that high-pitched chord. And you can hear me talking.
Well, I try to go away from it.
He says, I try to escape from this chord.
And you just stay with that chord. Really, that chord.
You hear he's starting to cry for the first time in our contact together. And the discordant chord that you hear there is banged heavily. And then the gentle part comes in. He says it's terrible. Now, affect, we are in a very pained black space. But he stays on with the music, trying to hold on to it rather than before going away. We go in back to my office. He is exhausted from the experience and reports next time that he has constant diarrhea, that he cannot stop his bowel movements. And life starts going on as he tries to recapture the feelings of what it felt like for a little boy who saw his mother dying and tried to be good because he did not want to be a burden for her. And so the experience of she is dying, I cannot ask her things because she is in so much pain. I cannot be angry at her. I cannot experience any degree of loss. I must be good and not cause any trouble. Those kinds of feelings are all buried, and there is a father in the background who is a gray, shadowy piece, and he starts getting nearer to these feelings and starts to explore them. Now, if you recall, that woman that you saw up there, his mother, had sometimes a very primitive quality to it. An earth mother, but yet very empty. It's like it wasn't filled in with earth and maternal holding, but you only saw the bare outline in the empty spaces. Any kind of treatment that has some degree of pain to it, there is always what I call moving into the black spot, or going into the hole. And this man had avoided the blackness of his life, the pain, the rage, the loss, the despair, because there was no witness there to help him with these feelings, to say it is all right. You learned as a child to freeze from this trauma. You learn to put it aside and go out and play ball. You hope for the best, and inside you cannot ask too many questions. And then one day, your mother is no longer there. And there was a gradual deterioration from age 3 to 7 when she finally dies. And there is nobody there to help him process these feelings. So that what treatment is about is a good deal of getting in touch with these feelings. And along the line, there are surrogates, not just the therapist, but people who he meets in his life, who he tries to share and deal with these feelings. And I am going to condense some of these feelings and just show you a few of the pictures to give you the idea of what he was trying to cope with in terms of his feelings towards women and towards men as well. Now, he is with a woman who he calls Kate, who he picks up at a party and starts having an affair with her. And he says to me, "It's enough already. I am tired of having the piano in between us. The piano cannot be my strength. It cannot be my tool to make contact with people. It cannot be my phallus. The piano is not the place I wanted to be with women," and you see he is able to say enough with her. He is able to put out his hand and say, "I want nothing of this woman. That my piano will be my connection perhaps, or maybe not, but I do not want it between us." He goes and gives another picture at another point in treatment. And he draws his cancer. There is a bullet that is coming to this cancer. It is a bullet that he is not quite sure whether that is his medicine or what it is. It is a bullet that reminds him of a tooth, which reminds him of his father, who was a dentist. There is the gray part that's all encapsulated with that red central part. Will that bullet be able to break through? This is his picture of his cancer right now. It is encased in grayness, and behind the grayness is a core of red, intense blackness that is all encased with heavy defenses. I believe that may well be what I call the nucleus of the self that is in any picture, and is certainly there in this man's cancer. He goes on, and by the way, he is at this point doing all kinds of things to help him. He's on special diets. He is running now for the first time in his life, running every day. He's gone to nutritionists. There is clearly that this man wants to live. We go on to the next. That is the picture of his mother there. And he tries to recapture his mother in his artwork. As you see, he can't really get the complete feelings of his mother in the picture, because in the face to me is still this frozen starkness, and the ability not to go past the frozen starkness still is very much there. We go further. Now that is his father. And while he's drawing, by the way, the experience is he is composing music, and he brings in to me how it feels to meet his father in music as he draws this, and he calls this the man in gray. I won't play the whole thing, but I want to give you the feeling of what the melody feels like in meeting his father through music. And here it is. I'm going to have to rewind it, so while I rewind this, I will talk to you a little bit about this. What I have him do with his artwork is that as he draws each art piece, I have him do some music at home that becomes like the framework. And we go from the music to the art, and then he tries to articulate what is going on. Now he tries to put something of himself in this music, but he can't get out of a gray melody. Now, if you take a look, there is this picture of the father who looks inside himself. The hands can hardly reach out. The man is encased in his own grayness. And so it is hard to meet this father. And what is very clear in this man's quest for some kind of homosexual encounter, and for many people there are all kinds of fantasies that are both in heterosexual and homosexual contact. For him, meeting the male was his one way of finding the strong phallic male who will give him some balance to deal with mother. The powerful mother who he loses, who has the strength to kind of live or die, and who dies and has power in that death. And he tries to talk about and explore his feelings about his father. Okay. I see I don't have the exact lines, so I'm going to have to just describe to you what the feeling was with the father. It was a kind of gray, lacking intensity, powered kind of music. And as much as he tried to kind of put passion in, there was no passion in the music. It was as race as the picture that you see over there. Now he's exploring different relationships, both in the past and the present with me. And one of the things, if you notice, is one of the things that was very important for this boy as he grew up as an adolescent was playing ball, playing stickball. And of course, every kind of picture has another meaning to me, along with the content. An art therapist is always dealing both with content and the structure of the art. The content is to be aware of this kind of big back, this phallic looking back. But you know, if he was up and the ball was pitched to him, it would be very hard for him to stand there and hit, because there's just a little bit too leaning backwards for this to get into the ball. There is some background there, but basically there is some other stuff that's in the front that is relatively unclear. And it seems to me that what I know is that he needs to hit that ball somewhere. He needs to kind of find some connection with the bat of the ball and who is going to catch this ball, or where is he going to hit it for this ball. And I think every picture in many respects is a message to the therapist. The therapist, myself, I hear a message through the artwork. The artwork is saying, will you play ball with me? Will you play catch with me? Will you play with me the way my father never played? Will you mirror the kind of baseball player inside of me? Will you mirror that aggression inside of me that wants to come out and was never seen? Will you, the father that I never have, find that piece of me that needs to express and discover the power inside of me that can say, I can leave you, Mom, because there's something inside of me that I can hold on to. Now he goes on to the next. And he is dealing with women, and there was a woman in this case who he was dancing with before, and he's talking about his anger about women. I want to chew them up. I want to get rid of them, serve them on a platter. But you know, he's very far away from the affects of this, but he's able to start at least drawing it about what he feels about women. We go on to the next. Again, he's taking a bigger bite of this woman. And there is this woman who first he thinks it is his wife, but then he noticed, this is not my wife. If you look at the breast, there is the breast where his mother first had breast cancer, and he suddenly finds out that women mean to him mother. One part he calls the black part the tornado, and that is the black chaotic feelings that is associated with the woman. If you see in the background, there is all those dots, which I believe are the cellular kind of mass that she's connected with, which is the deterioration of her body. And on the side, he calls this the dangerous knife. And there is this woman out there, and if you recall, we had danced, he and I, and dissociated from the dance, as it first was the tornado and the knife, and those dissociated red dot pieces, because the color purple, which to him means eroticism, never has the black in it, in the woman, never has the red in it. It is an erotic kind of dance while lacking affects that are cut off of him. And so he goes on to the next. And he goes back to this woman where there are all these dots, the mother inside of those dots that you see that were part of this first depiction of the woman dancing. Now, along with dance therapy, I do something that is very different from me. My wife is a psychic healer. And she works with deep meditation. She, in a sense, works on a different level of consciousness. And I asked him, would he be interested? He is very interested. By the way, my wife's former background is that of a dancer. And my wife projects a very Earth Mother image. And I don't know why, but I want him to work with my wife as well as myself. And they work together for a long while, meeting on different levels of consciousness. And one thing that he starts encountering, both in the work with her and myself, is that he has made a pact not to live. And that he does not believe he is entitled to live if his mother dies. And now he must see if he can renegotiate that pact, whether he can decide he wants to live.